What will the next 100 years bring? This space shuttle is a pretty good start on the 21st century. Over the next 100 years, communicating and traveling around the world will become almost instantaneous. Technology will triple. Our non-renewable energy sources, such as coal, oil, gas, will probably disappear. There'll be many more people, and they'll live longer. In fact, the Earth will appear to shrink.
In the 21st century, children will still be children. They will need places to play. These Japanese children are playing on what looks like a small spaceship. It's actually a cap over a very deep shaft, and at the bottom of the shaft is a time capsule. This is a duplicate of the Expo 70 capsule underground. In 1970, the year Hiroaki and Atsushi were born, Japan hosted a World's Fair, Expo 70 in Osaka. That year, Japan put together a time capsule which was buried in front of Osaka Castle. In 5,000 years, it will be opened, and the people of that distant day will see what Japan and other nations around the world contributed to the 20th century. On display in Osaka City Museum are duplicates of the items inside the buried capsule. Many of them already seem a bit old-fashioned to Hiroaki and Atsushi. In the capsule are many ordinary things, everyday things you might find in a woman's purse or a man's pocket. Nail polish, money, keys, glasses, or in the house, cufflinks, a necktie, an electric razor. Large photographs in the capsule show how clothing styles have changed in the 20th century. Things for baby care are also in the capsule. People 5,000 years from now will know that we captured sound on disc and tape, that we had a written language for music, that we could correct vision problems, that we had very sophisticated tools, and that we had dentures. The capsule will show the technical achievements of the 20th century. Sophisticated watches, high-tech electronics, and that we captured visual images with cameras. Most interesting, perhaps, will be the startling photographs we brought back from the moon. We have made the first step into the world of high technology in the 20th century by putting electricity to thousands of uses. In this sound and video shop, the Japanese can buy the latest in home entertainment. Hiroaki likes computer games, and here he has dozens from which to choose. He buys Cosmo Fighter. The sound and video shop happens to be 2 floors underground. Now the Nakayama family descends another floor, 3 stories underground. At the Umeda train station, Osaka has built an entire underground city. To stay in touch with nature, water has been brought down with cascading falls, which turn into ponds and streams. Stained glass windows add plenty of color, and a stained glass clock is circled by a plastic swan and her 2 little ones. A statue copied from Botticelli's Venus adorns another underground pond. Trees and flowers border the underground sidewalks, and fountains are everywhere, making the air cool and fresh. In the future, Japan will have more and more underground living. It's just one more way to gain a little more growing space. This bridge leads the Japanese of Kobe onto Port Island, the first artificial island in the sea. It took 15 years to build. The dirt to make the island came from the mountains behind Kobe. The island provides new land for housing, and 130,000 people now live on Port Island. It's only a beginning, for the Japanese are now already creating more new islands. You can see an artificial island underway near Ashia in the Seto Inland Sea. Barges bring soil out to the derrick, where it is piped onto the rising island. Soon this island will provide quite a lot of expansion space for Osaka and will justify the cost of creating the island. Having already extended the coastline of Ashia, the Japanese are slowly claiming the inland sea. It's the future here today. Think of the usable land the Japanese could have if they could only figure out a way to flatten all of those mountains which dominate their country. In the 21st century, no doubt, the Japanese will find more ways to create space and make better use of the space they already occupy. It will take lots of money, so the Japanese will have to sell lots of cameras, TVs, watches, cars, ships, and steel to the rest of the world in order to afford it. What sort of world would the Tarahumara of Mexico have in the 21st century? The 21st century will probably come to Koborichi through electricity. Power lines already have reached this quiet valley. Though none of the homes have electricity yet, it will be coming. Someday soon, there will be telephone lines put in and cable for television. That is, if the Tarahumara want these things. So far, there doesn't seem to be any real desire among the Tarahumara to electrify their existence. But no one knows how the next generation might feel. The power which does come into Koborichi today serves vital functions. For instance, to power the water pump and electric lights at the medical clinic. It also powers refrigerators for storing medicine and boilers for sterilizing instruments. The electricity in Koborichi brings needed power to another place, the ceramics factory. This new factory in Koborichi offers jobs to the Tarahumara. This Tarahumara woman is making a platter which will go with a coffee set. Behind her, you can see the work she has done so far this day. The platters will air dry, and then they will be fired in a kiln. When they're finished, they look like this. These coffee sets sell in more than a dozen folk craft shops throughout Mexico. Another place where the Tarahumara can make money is at the big lumber yard in Huachochi. Huachochi is the center for lumber working in the Sierra Tarahumara. As the construction industry grows, there is always a need for wood, and there's plenty of wood on the high mesas. Huachochi is the largest settlement in the southwest part of the state of Chihuahua. It has grown from a small Tarahumara village like Koborichi to a town of about 20,000 people. Huachochi is now a mixture of two cultures, Tarahumara and Mestizo. Much of Huachochi is like it has always been. Pigs and other animals still forage in the streets. But there are plans for Huachochi in the future. Someday there will be sidewalks and paved streets. This hospital in Huachochi has already improved the quality of life in the area through health education programs, especially offering X-rays and vaccines. "100 miles north of Huachochi, you can see a city which once looked a lot like Huachochi. This is Chihuahua City. Chihuahua City sits on the edge of the western Sierra Madre and has become the cattle trading center as well as the banking center for northwest Mexico. There are 365,000 people in Chihuahua, and yet 100 years ago, Chihuahua City was a frontier town much like Huachochi. What will the Ivory Coast look like in the 21st century? How will Kwakwame and his son Amani change over the coming years? Kwakwame, like most Baoul'e farmers, will probably continue to grow his yams. Amani, on the other hand, is staying in school. His French is good, and if he continues to do well in the other subjects, he can learn a profession. Amouin, his sister, may also stay in school. She will have many opportunities open to her through her education. And how will the weavers of Baoul'e change? Will automated weaving machines come to Baoul'e, putting these men out of business? And the wood carvers. Will the tourists continue to buy the masks and statuettes? Will this young carver get a chance to be a master craftsman and have his own shop someday? Many answers in the Ivory Coast will be found here in Abidjan, the capital. Abidjan is quite a city, like a small Manhattan with a very impressive skyline. Abidjan has modern architecture and a modern lifestyle. Much of the success of this city and the country it represents is due to one man, Félix Houphouët-Boigny. He became president in 1960 when the Ivory Coast gained its independence from France. His leadership took the Ivory Coast through the first difficult years of independence. He brought in foreign investors and established markets for coffee, cocoa, and timber. Today, elephants' tusks still symbolize the nation, the Ivory Coast, though most of the elephants are gone. Where the elephants roamed, now stand towns and cities. Each year, more and more people come to Abidjan. In such a new and promising country, there are opportunities for the skilled and the educated, for Amouin and Amani if they study hard enough. Hotels, such as the Hotel Ivoire, have become showcases of Ivorian culture. Eternal summer and lush tropical gardens lure tourists and businessmen alike. Many people from France take their winter vacations here, as many Ivorians take their summer vacations in France. The French, once colonial masters of the Ivorians, come to live now and work in the Ivory Coast.
It seems as we approach the 21st century, we have one major command. That is to maintain peace, so that the interdependence that has developed among nations around the world can be kept in balance and sustained. We need to honor cultures different from our own, to educate ourselves and learn more about our neighbors around the world. Learn to understand and respect the many, many differences among the people of the world.